So I received a call the other day from somebody that I care about who was in tears, and through the tears, they apologized to me that they had just killed themselves. They'd taken every pill that they owned and expected to die. As part of an already terrible week, this was difficult news to digest, even at the best of times. Today, I'm going to continue suicide, me, myself, and I. I'm going to talk about what it's like when friends attempt and do take their own lives.
Welcome to Shattered, the podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss mental illness, its by a sufferer, for sufferers, and for the people that are looking to understand what it's like to live with mental illness.
So I guess today I want to start by asking for your indulgence. Today is going to be a difficult podcast to do. Someone that I care about deeply called me the other day and basically apologized, kept apologizing. I couldn't tell what for, until they said that they'd taken every pill that they owned and that they were going to die. Suicide is a tragedy on a lot of different levels. The lost dreams, the lost hopes, that sort of thing. But it's also a tragedy in that we don't care enough about it. We don't care that suicide exists. We don't care that it's one of the top killers in our country, in our world. We just don't seem to care until it hits us personally. I guess that's true of any tragedy. It's not a tragedy until it hits you. A few years ago, I was on a cruise and I got an email message, a text message or some message saying that a friend of mine was dead. I called the person that sent me the email and asked what had happened. And the friend had committed suicide. Now, the thing is, this guy wasn't just a friend. He was a guy that I had mentored. I'd been part of his life. He was just a guy that hung around at the radio station, showed up at all of our events, was just always there. And I happened to say to him one day, do you want to have a go on air? You know, I was working in a community station at the time, and we're always actively recruiting people to come and be part of the shows. And he did one of those kind of, I really do, but I can't do that. I can't go on air. He really wanted to. So I just said, all right, mate, come on through. He ended up being a co-host with me. One day a week, he would come in and we would host a show together. I taught him the basics of broadcasting, taught him how to be an announcer, and watched him grow from an absolute novice who had no idea what he was doing to getting to the point where he was going overseas to help impoverished countries set up radio stations. This is a guy that I was immensely proud of. But he'd moved away under kind of fishy circumstances. He moved away for a girl, and there was problems with this girl. She had emotional issues, drug dependence issues, all this sort of stuff. And even though my friend was one of the bravest people I ever met, he was desperate for a girlfriend. He just wanted to be in a relationship. And he would have been great in a relationship. He would have been I would imagine he would have been a great boyfriend to whoever he would have chosen, because he was generous to a fault. And he was just a good dude. I honestly can't think of anything bad to say about him. I really can't. And I'm trying to now. He was different from me. He was very quiet. But when he got on air, you saw a side of him that was joyful, and it was fun, and I enjoyed being on air with him. So we became quite close until he moved away. And then I received that call saying that he had taken his own life. Now we're talking me, myself, and I. It is so interesting that this is the series that we're doing, when a phone call that I got the other day from somebody that I care about saying that they are sorry and that they didn't think of me before they killed themselves. They'd taken every pill that they owned, said goodbye to their family, and were calling to apologize to me, thinking that I would hate him. I honestly am still struggling with what to do with it. People are actually surprised that I'm so calm. And I'm not calm. Inside, I am losing it. I would do anything for this bloke. I love him. And yet, he tried to the thing about it is the first emotion that I've felt in both of these cases is guilt. Absolute guilt. Why didn't I know? Why didn't I anticipate that this could happen? Now, my friend that killed himself, no history of mental illness, as far as I know. I was very aware of my mental illness. We talked about it a lot. He tried very hard to understand it. Maybe because he was experiencing some things. I don't know. This guy that called me the other day is someone I speak to often. And I felt guilt. But then I started speaking to the people around him, and in the hours before he made the attempt, everything had been good. Like really good. Not pretend good, not like that good that you get when somebody who's depressed and sad and has finally come to the decision to take their own life, so they gain a measure of peace. We're talking about a guy that was actually happy. Then something happened, and it just threw him into this pit of despair. Why didn't they call me before they took the pills? Could I have known that something was wrong? Were there warning signs that I missed? Now, this person is going to live. They are going to survive. And I'm going to go see them. And I'm going to try to figure out why they felt they needed to apologize to me. There's so many questions that you ask when somebody's taken their own life. there's questions that you ask yourself that kind of ring in your head. How could they do this? Why didn't they reach out to me? Then the guilt sets in. Did I miss stuff? When did I talk to them last? What was our last conversation? And then even more guilt. When did I last think about them? My friend's pain, as long as I live, is never going to go away, because I now wear his pain. I feel his absence tangibly. So his family's left his Facebook profile alive, and I'm grateful that they do. But every year when I get the notification that it's his birthday, it breaks my heart. Every time. I guess this podcast is for the survivors of suicide. The guilt, the pain, the anger that you're feeling. That's so unexpected. Anger that they would leave you this way. Whatever you're going through, there is help available. Reach out to somebody, call a helpline, do something, do anything. Don't sit in silence. And if you're concerned about somebody, reach out to them. If you're struggling, please stay another day. Just be patient. It's cliche now, but this too shall pass. This absolute blackness that you're feeling at this moment will pass. I'm going to call it quits. Sorry for the somber tone, but I can imagine that you understand why. Please share this podcast. Not for me, but for the people that might need to hear it.
Thank you for listening to Shattered the podcast. I'd like to thank our producer, Meredith Brosnan, our executive producer, Torian Lau, and the band Adelaide for allowing us to use their song as our theme. Go to shatteredthepodcast.com for more information.